Happy day 886. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with my head in I guess a stop sign shaped bubble, which is really entertaining. I actually did my last video in a purple bubble because it was for the Get Up and Go challenge, and it's all about spirituality and being in a, it wasn't really about being in a bubble, but for some reason it was about soap, cleaning up our act in soap, and how we handle change and challenges and obstacles and failures and stuff that pops up in our life that's going to continue to pop up in our life no matter what. I wanted to emphasize the importance of, we got to keep doing certain things in our life to get the results we want. Things like washing up, brushing our teeth, things like that. So today was one-track mind for the idiom for Supersize Your Business. One-track mind, of course, means that we have a singular focus. We get focused and we get our mind stuck on something, and we sometimes can be very annoying to other people, but it doesn't matter what they think. It's how we feel about the one-track mind thing that we're on. And that if we want to achieve anything, if we want to have success at something, if we want to have mastery at something, we need to have it be something that we focus on. If you heard the expression, jack of all trades, master of none, it's very, very true. It's especially true in our businesses, but in our lives as well. The other thing about having a one-track mind is sometimes we focus so much on one area of our life that we neglect the other areas of our life. I mean, we see movies, we see stories, we hear stories all the time about, you know, the super successful businessman who has no family and no relationships because he's let everything in his life go except the singular focus on money and success in business. I was guilty of that in my younger years, where I didn't support, my reason for being in my own businesses was to spend more time with my family, yet I found myself in my businesses having less and less time to be with my kids, to go to their events, to do their things. Now I still did, but it was always super stressful, and wherever I was, I wanted to be somewhere else. So if I was with the kids, I wanted to be working. If I was working, I wanted to be with the kids, and I lived in that disparity for a long, long time. So one-track mind focus. I did the same thing with my health. I totally neglected my health, and so everything was at a messed up priority ranking in my life. Remember, there's 7 key areas of our life: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, contribution, and relationships. And if we're not paying attention to each of those areas at least a little bit, the area will scream for our attention. If you don't pay attention to your health, you will get a health wake-up call. Think in our country, in our world, not just our country, I'm in the United States, but our world needed a big health wake-up call, and that's part of why COVID is here and is shaking us up. Now, you can argue and say that, oh, that's ridiculous, but I would say maybe if we step back and we look at the bigger picture, there's a lot more going on there than what we see, than what meets the eye. Fun challenge today. Doing a 365-day, do one fun thing every day. Day 177, I think. I could check. Yep, day 177 today. And it was all about eating your weight in a certain food. So what would you eat your weight in? Of course, it was quoted by Miss Piggy, which is really fun. I accidentally, as I was deciding what do I want my emphasis or my focus to be for 2020, the year before last, 2018, it was do one thing a day that scares you. Stretch your comfort zone. Last year it was do one thing a day that makes you happy. In 2019 it was every day I wanted to find a way to feel happier. So I used that little journal book to guide me through that. And then I thought, oh, 2020, let's have some fun, because I'm kind of trending up the emotional guidance scale, right? I want to start feeling better and better and better. And at first I started off outside my comfort zone and focusing on the things that weren't working for me, so I wanted to bust out of those. And then I thought, oh, now that I've busted out of those, I want to feel happier. I want more happiness in my life. I've kind of prevented myself prior to last year from really experiencing the happiness and joy that was always around me, because I was focusing on certain areas of my life. I was focusing on what wasn't working, the lack, the scarcity, my relationship with my ex-husband wasn't good, and I was focusing on that instead of creating new relationships. I was focusing on what was missing in my life and what I was giving up and changing instead of what I was gaining. And focusing on being happy every day helped me to get over that hump and switch that focus, because what we focus on is what we create in our lives. So this year I wanted more fun in my life. I'm like, all right, my life's pretty boring, pretty same old every day. What can I do to shake it up and mix it up a lot? Well, it turns out that the journal book that I got at the Christmas point up where the cabin is for 6 to 9 year olds. Well, I turned 60 this year, right before COVID, right as COVID was hitting the fan. So I found that it's absolutely totally appropriate for 60 to 90 year olds, as well as for 6 to 9 year olds. So having a little bit of fun with that. The only difference is the references are from more kid-friendly books, more things that children would have interacted with. Now, since I'm 60 and it's for 6 to 9 year olds and was probably written just this last year, there are references I have no clue about. They're just, my kids are grown and they've been grown for a while. So maybe with my granddaughter I'm running across some of the references, but a lot of them are new. Miss Piggy I'm familiar with, right? Grew up with Miss Piggy, and the kids grew up with Miss Piggy. My kids did, so that's an easy one to relate to. However, I can't think of anything that I could eat my weight in, probably because I weigh too much. Thank you, COVID. Thank you for slipping out and not following all my good habits throughout this pandemic. Now I'm popping back into those as part of the Get Up and Go challenge. Again, we're on the home stretch for Get Up and Go challenge, 40-day challenge, free of course. Files and the videos are all up there for anybody that wants to join whenever they would want to join. Because who among us doesn't need to get moving and taking some action in a certain area? It's not a physical challenge. It's definitely a challenge that covers the foundational framework of the SOAP model, which is the model I use to deal with challenges and conflicts and problems and obstacles and things that pop up in my life. And I've used it for decades to make my life work. There's some challenges I faced in my life that people look at me and they're like, can't even believe that you're still moving, or that you're here, or that you've got this going. And that's how I always wanted to be. So we're actually going through the 6th of 7 areas of our life. What I'm doing is, as I'm going through it, I'm demonstrating the model over and over again in each of those areas and aspects of my life. And guess what? Secretly, I get to work on, and not so secretly, right up front about it, I get to work on and improve each of the areas of my life as I go through the challenge with other people as well. So it's a win-win situation, right? Who doesn't love a win-win situation? So one-track mind, singular focus, what's important and most important to you. And guess what? We each get to choose our own focus. So often we tell ourselves, I don't know what I want, I don't know what I want to do. But it's not true. We absolutely positively know. Sometimes our conscious mind just doesn't want to admit it to ourselves. We might know with 100% certainty that we want to do something creative, and maybe we want to be a photographer. I wanted to go to art school, believe it or not. When I was in college, or was looking at going to college, my art teacher said, you need to go to art school. And I, of course, grew up in a family that was like corporate and business and college oriented, and you weren't going to go to art school. Now, I started out in college in journalism. That's kind of far-fetched too, right? But I went into a college that was excellent for journalism because that is what I initially thought I wanted to study. And then during the summer, before I even got there, I decided, no, I'm going to study biology or something, or some science, because I'd really rather be a doctor. Well, then after I started getting into that, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be a doctor at all. I didn't, I wanted to help people, but I didn't really want to deal with health and blood and guts and whatever. Something that, an 18-year-old tells herself when she's looking at biology. So I changed my mind and ended up actually going and getting an engineering degree, engineering, marketing, and management degree, from several colleges, because I couldn't make up my mind and went to a bunch of different schools and colleges, and then I had some health challenges in there too. So what we think we're going to do and what we actually do, it often changes, right? All these challenges and things pop up to get us back on course of the direction that we really need to go and should go and want to go, and that's best for us. Because sometimes and a lot of times, we're just doing what other people think we should and what other people think is best for us. I love the people that know their own mind and know what they want to do from day one, or how they want to show up in the world from a young age, and they just be themselves and do that. But they're definitely the exception, not the rule. Vast majority of us are walking through our lives with masks and, virtually helmets on our heads, letting life just bounce off of us, trying to get through it as unscathed as possible. And it's a way to live, but it's up to us to decide, is that the way we really want to live? So challenges, big challenges going on. I've backed off on doing other people's challenges. I was doing several of those just to kind of see what are people doing, what's going on, what are they liking, what are they not liking. And like everything else I've learned online, as soon as something gets an idea, it's turned into this marketing strategy. And I did a little of that, taught people how to do challenges for themselves too, because not many people were doing them, and it is a great way to attract the people you want to work with to you. Plus, you get to benefit and learn and grow through the process. But it gets so, I want to say bastardized, because that's what happens. Every concept gets so convoluted and gets the marketing spin on it, and then it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So I continue to do challenges, but I do them my way. I don't do them the way anybody else does. And I will continue to do them my way, because that makes me happy, and that's what it's all about, is doing what makes us happy. So that's all I've got today. I've got a bunch of stuff going on. Amazing granddaughter will be here soon, and I think we're going to do some fun projects today. We're cleaning up and doing some fun, ordinary projects. I said early on in the beginning of COVID that I would go through the basement and an hour a day and clean through and organize and sort and get rid of stuff. And I probably only spent about 5 hours actually doing that. Now, I said it when COVID was only going to be a couple of weeks, and I thought, ooh, I can just knock this out. But as COVID and the pandemic and all the shutdowns and things stretched out, instead of working on it more, I actually backed off and just blew it off and found other fun things for us to do and focused on the fun instead of on the work that needs to be done. And so sometimes there's still work and priorities and things that need to be done and combined with the fun. We don't have to go one way or the other. Life is not black and white for most of us. It's many, many shades of rainbow colors, not gray. I don't like the gray. I always push against the color gray. And my sister painted her whole house gray, and it's beautiful. And I'm like, gray is now the color for homes in at least the U.S. So, it's kind of like, for a while it was beiges and creams and yellows, and now it's grays. So we'll see what it is next. I'm sure it'll change again. That's it. That's all I've got for you today. Have an absolutely amazing day. Just talking about what I'm doing as I've gone from the offline to the brick and mortar world to the online world, and how that journey's going for me. I'm working on challenges, and I pretty much solely do challenges to attract people to me these days. And that's what I'm going to continue to do, mostly because I love doing them, right? If you can face your challenges head on and know how to deal with them in a confident way, you will get to what you want faster than any other thing on the planet, absolutely positively, because it gives you a singular focus. It gets you taking action and doing one thing a day to move you toward what you want. And it's like the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you accomplish and achieve anything? One little step at a time, one day at a time. Boom. And then all of a sudden you're there and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do next? Because I didn't think I'd ever achieve this. And you're achieving things over and over again and getting results that other people look at you and they're like, how'd you even do that? That's like miraculous. And you're like, nope, I just did one thing a day every day, and I had my focus, and I didn't stop when I hit little road bumps along the way. All right, have an amazing day. I will, of course, see you tomorrow. Bye.